and I want to wish you a happy Holy Week. Hopefully it's a great one. And speaking of Holy Week, we had a letter from Vigano. He issued a letter in honor of Easter, reflecting on the past Easter, and he notes how very little has changed since then. But he also discusses that God is punishing us for all of our collective sins, and he encourages us to repent. The quote is, "The true nothing will be as it was before must be the one we say whenever we rise from the confessional with the resolve to sin no more." And so read Vigano's letter reflecting on Holy Week. He does talk a lot about the current situation in our church as well. However, it starts with us. We need to make the decision to amend our lives if we want to ever hope that other people will amend their lives. So I thought this was a good reflection for Holy Week, and I hope you have a great one. Recently, Ryan and I talked about the Bishop of Chur, Switzerland. He was the bishop who wears the tight shirts, and his name was Bishop Joseph Bonamain, and he gave communion to non-Catholics. He gave communion to some Reformed Protestants. So if you have any question about how that's going to go in Chur, Switzerland, I think they had a lot of conflicts between the left and the right Catholics. And the right Catholics basically all went SSPX. The left Catholics took over the diocese, and now they're giving communion to Protestants. Now, in this Catholic News Agency article, the bishop or the diocese, I forget who, they reference Cardinal Ratzinger giving communion to Brother Roger Schultz of Taizé at the funeral of Pope John Paul II in 2005. Now, Brother Roger Schultz was not Catholic, and I never knew about that. And so I looked it up, and it was very interesting to see that Pope Benedict gave communion to a non-Catholic. Now, I don't know if Pope Benedict was aware that this guy was not a Catholic, but it happened in 2005, and I don't know if any of you have any reactions to that. Let me know. Let me know if you know more information about the situation. An Alaska senator was denied communion in, I believe it was 2019, and the situation has been ongoing for a long time. But anyway, Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, I think she's a pro-abortion Democrat, was denied communion by Father Robert Whitney. And so the article says, that I will link below, it says that Anchorage, Juneau, Archbishop Andrew Belisario, well known for his leftist beliefs, was so upset with Whitney, he transferred him out of the much larger St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Parish in Anchorage to the much smaller Our Lady of Perpetual Help Catholic Church in Soldotna. So this is going to become an increasing trend where you have leftist bishops who are kicking out priests for denying communion to pro-abortion politicians. Now this Father Robert Whitney, this is great. I think it's fantastic because the local bishops and the local priests understand the local situation in politics. So I had no idea who Senator Lisa Murkowski was until I read this article. It says that she's pro-abortion and she claims to be Catholic, which can't happen, and you can't receive communion under that situation. And this priest, he knows the Catholic faith very well, and he knew that probably he would be transferred out of his parish, which he was. And this is going to continue to happen under heretic bishops, and we just need to support these priests, and we need to speak out against these horribly corrupt bishops for not standing up for the Catholic faith. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, otherwise known as Governor Blackface, has banned capital punishment. Several bishops have celebrated it. Now, getting back to Governor Northam, he famously stated that an abortion could be performed on a baby after it is born. He said that if the parents haven't decided if they want to keep the baby and the baby is born, then keep it comfortable until the parents make that decision. Now, he backpedaled on those comments, I think, but it just shows how horrifically pro-abortion he is. He's also known as Governor Blackface for a racist incident in the past. You can look it up yourself. But he is a Democrat, and so he doesn't suffer any consequences for saying these extreme, ridiculous things and doing these ridiculous actions. So Bishop Michael Burbage of Arlington and Bishop Barry Nestout of Richmond celebrated the decision, as well as Archbishop Paul Coakley of Oklahoma City, who is the chairman of the USCCB Committee on Domestic Justice and Human Development. The USCCB celebrated this as well. Now, Bishop Nestout is a product of the McCarrick Network, so that should be no surprise. But Bishop Michael Burbage of Arlington, Virginia has a reputation of being a really solid Catholic diocese, very traditional, and this is not a traditional point of Catholic doctrine. Capital punishment, it really is valid in the Catholic faith, and it was only up until Pope John Paul II that people started to question it. But the death penalty has been declared just by numerous saints and numerous popes. So this is a deviation from the Catholic faith, and now they're going all out and saying, oh, well, this is pro-life. Well, and that's why the term pro-life has been hijacked. We've referenced that several times before. And what we need to do is take back, I guess we need to ditch the pro-life idea and stick to anti-abortion, because when I go, I don't think I'll ever go to the March for Life again, because I don't think it will ever exist, but whenever I did go to the March for Life in Washington, D.C., I went to protest abortion, to protest the legalization of abortion, and encourage the politicians to make it illegal. I didn't go to say that people shouldn't receive capital punishment, or that people should plant trees, or whatever the clowns, the Parent Ryan clowns, are saying in regards to pro-life. So this is a point where it's very concerning that a lot of bishops, even the ones who have a reputation of being more traditional, are catching on, and it's really infiltrated the USCCB, and it's something that Pope Francis promotes. So it's very hard to go against Pope Francis, because you have a bunch of people screaming at you, oh, you're going against the Pope. Well, yeah, if the Pope goes against Catholic doctrine, then yeah, I think you do need to go against the Pope. That's just a layman's opinion. Decide that for yourself. So recently it was announced that another bishop was put under Vos Estis investigation. Vos Estis Lex Mundi is a motu proprio by Pope Francis, which established procedures to deal with an accusation of abuse against a bishop. Now, this bishop was Howard Hubbard of Albany, New York. And there are currently 5 United States bishops under the Vos Estis investigation. They are Bishop Michael Hopner of Crookston, Minnesota, Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio of Brooklyn, New York, Bishop Oscar Cantu of San Jose, California, and Bishop John Brungart of Dodge City, Kansas, in addition to Bishop Hubbard. Now, this doesn't mean that all these bishops are guilty. Obviously, there's an ongoing investigation, and innocent until proven guilty. We should not judge them in that manner until we find the full story and until the full investigation is done. But there are currently 5 under the investigation process by Pope Francis. I'm going to link an article below titled, Is Pope Francis Distancing Himself from the CDF? So, as you recall, recently there was a document on how blessings of LMNOP couples are not valid, and there's all kinds of attempts from heretics, bishops, priests, to try to distance Pope Francis from the actual document. And honestly, I had a conversation with Brett Ryan online, and we really came up with, who really knows what's going on in the Vatican? There are tensions between, the more conservative and the more liberal branches in the Vatican, but who really knows what's going on? All these reports are from anonymous sources. People could be making stuff up, or the reports could be completely inaccurate. Someone would have a perspective in one sense, but they wouldn't interact with everyone in the other sense. So who really knows what's going on? All we know is what is released in documents from the Vatican, and we know that the Latin Mass has been banned from St. Peter's Basilica. We know that the LMNOP statement was released, and one good, one bad. And even the LMNOP statement is kind of like, okay, it's tentatively good, because there was some language there that said it. We need to recognize the positive aspects of these couples' relationships. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Mortal sin is mortal sin, but that's going on, and who really knows what's happening? The Archdiocese of Boston has released a statement saying that churches can have servers who have received the jab. That means adults, because I don't believe children cannot yet receive the jab. But it's interesting to see that this is sort of like almost like a passport or like a permission slip, and there are other reports of parishes that have like signs up that says if you receive the jab, sit on this side, and if you didn't receive the jab, sit on this side. And do you see a problem with that? Like, we're going to be discriminated against because we don't want the jab. Now, some people do have legitimate medical concerns in which they would not want the jab. I mean, I don't want to be an experiment, so I don't want the jab. But I don't necessarily have medical concerns. But some people do, and so you're discriminating against these people for the... I don't even know why you're discriminating against it. It's for a political opinion. That's why. And so we're going to see this more and more, and we see it in our churches. We saw, Taylor Marshall had a video about this lady who was kicked out, removed by police from a parish just because she wasn't wearing a mask. And do you see a problem with that? Like, I do. And if you see any of this occurring, you can't be silent on this. We can't be silent on this collectively as a laity, because we are the laity and we will not be silent.